Hi, this is Heather, and this is my week-by-week pregnancy journal.
There he is.
Finn.
What's that? You want cookies? Where's that squirrel? Okay. You want to start?
That look cute?
Mm-hmm.
That look cute. No, my boobs look big. Hi, this is Heather, and this is my week-by-week pregnancy journal. This marks week 7. So we're going to be talking about everything that I was feeling in week 7. Today is actually day 1 of week 8. So week 7 was January 6th to January 13th. So today is January 13th. So it's the end of week 7. I'm just going to be talking about how I was feeling, about how both my husband and I felt about our first appointment, what we were expecting versus what really happened. Feeling now about food, which is crappy, being sick while you're pregnant, and everything in between, I guess. So this week, it is the size of a blueberry. It still doesn't feel real, and it's growing slowly, but a blueberry is bigger than, what was it last week? You don't even know.
I don't remember.
A blueberry is bigger than a chocolate chip, and a chocolate chip's bigger than a seed, and a seed's bigger than a poppy seed. So this week, development-wise, supposedly there are dark spots that will become eyes. There's 2 holes now that will become nostrils, and hopefully the tail is disappearing. That's what they say. Fingers crossed. This week is very important for brain development. They're saying that the brain is developing about 100 cells per minute this week. So I'm really trying to concentrate on eating well and getting the right nutrition to the baby because I want a healthy brain. Also, the little limb buds are elongating, so which will eventually turn into little flappies. And the kidney and liver is developing also. So one of the most comforting things that I've read this week is that a mucus plug settles into the cervix, kind of like a cork, to kind of keep any bacteria and bad things out. So, I mean, to me that's comforting to know that it's all plugged up in there, and hopefully it stays there safe and sound until the day the formed baby is finished baking and ready to pop out. How I'm feeling this week? Well, this week was probably the worst week so far. I ended up getting sick. I think I talked last week about being worried about getting strep throat. Thankfully, it didn't turn into that. The sore throat went away and it moved right into my sinuses. So on top of being pregnant and very lethargic and just not wanting to do anything, being sick on top of that with some kind of like sinusitis or sinus infection that I was dealing with for the last 5 days was kind of crappy. So I ended up actually taking off work a few days, and now I'm starting to feel better. It's just like a little congestion in my head now. But being sick on top of being pregnant is probably the worst thing ever. Part of being sick, of course, you know, you're nervous to take anything. You don't want to take any medications. You don't want to harm anything. So knowing that my doctor's appointment was on Wednesday, we do these videos on Saturdays, so on Monday I started really not feeling well, but I didn't take any medication, so I was just doing natural things like I was using saline spray in my nose, I was using saline in my eyes because they were getting dry, everything was dry. I ended up buying a humidifier, which finally came on Thursday, so I was able to use that Thursday night to Friday when I actually ended up going back to work, which I keep over here. It sits right up on my nightstand, and it is the best thing I could say to anybody that's pregnant because it makes you breathe better at night. Just to show you which humidifier we purchased, it's the Home Medics humidifier, and it oscillates.
It oscillates.
It oscillates 120 degrees, so it turns and sprays the mist. It's also got this awesome button for a night light. and different degrees that it will spit out the water on you. and different thicknesses of the mist.
Humidity.
So I love this. New best friend. Other symptoms that I seem to be experiencing now is definitely a heightened sense of smell, which is horrible because anything I smell is just intensified. That along with not having I completely just don't have an appetite this week. The weeks prior I was craving certain things like salty or definitely vinegar. There were certain things that I did want to eat. This week I don't really find myself wanting to eat anything. And I would always say, I kind of laugh at people when they say I just don't have an appetite. And it's like, what do you mean you don't have an appetite? How can you not want to eat? And I just completely feel that way. It's hard for me to decipher whether or not it's nausea or it's just no appetite. So I'm kind of this week again has been, whoa. To answer anybody's question, I'm going to go and say, no, I have not had any nausea or vomiting. I have realized that, there are 3 things to kind of juggle. It's either food aversions, loss of appetite, or the nausea vomiting. So I have both of the other ones, just not nausea and vomiting. What I found this week is if I was craving something I feel I can eat that, it's something that I do have to fulfill. I feel that I've been leaning more towards carbs because maybe that feeling of just not wanting anything. So I definitely had to have pizza this week. I was craving tomatoes, just cold tomatoes cut up with salt and pepper on them. So I don't know, just the carb thing. Pasta, we did pasta with spaghetti sauce this week. We're not very big on, pastas and pizzas and stuff like that. We normally eat pretty healthy. But chicken, I've had a big aversion with chicken and something with scrambled eggs too. And I love scrambled eggs. But I found that hard-boiled eggs are working for me. So we've been hard-boiling eggs and then I'll just cut them up and do salt and pepper on them and I keep that down. Today we made Belgian waffles. That was amazing. And that's carbs too. So I don't know. Hopefully this will kind of switch around. I do find myself really liking just fresh raw vegetables too. Something about that. Maybe it's the water that my body's craving. Still trying to stay hydrated. It's still hard, especially being sick because obviously when you've got all this head stuff going on, you don't want to put anything in you. Ugh. Another symptom that I'm experiencing is very dry skin. My nipples are dry and that's not something that I ever had to deal with. So it was weird. And it could have to do with the January, dry, cold weather. So I did take time to purchase a good cream and moisturizer. The one I chose was cocoa butter. I actually found this set online. It's a massage lotion, a tummy butter, massage cream, and skin therapy oil. It's all made with vitamin E, which is very good at hydrating your skin and preventing stretch marks. So I've read places that you should start early so that your skin just stays hydrated and you never have an issue. So that's what I did. All of the lotions that I just showed you just came this week, so I haven't started using it. So all the lotions that I just showed you came this week. I haven't started using them, but I'll let you know how it works. I'm not usually a lotion up your body kind of person, but because I feel sticky and stuff, but I don't know. We'll see how that works. Another symptom I've had, it could have to do with me being sick, but also the dry air. I did experience some bloody noses, bloody nostrils, bloody nose sessions. I don't know if that has to do fully with me being sick or just the dry air or everything, but I did look up and it does say that pregnant women do tend to have issues with bloody noses because your blood vessels, I don't know, the blood is increasing in your blood vessels, and you can read about that somewhere. This week also another symptom I've been experiencing is insomnia. The lack of sleep. It's just whether it be getting up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. They say that you should limit your fluids before bed to try and, help with that. But on top of being sick and the dry nose, I was just up maybe 6 or 7 times a night. And I really hope that that goes away because I'm not trying to deal with that through the whole months that are left of pregnancy. I found myself really thirsty at night though, like when we're sitting there watching TV, and it's just another thing I have to think about now. Also, they say constipation is another thing that pregnant people deal with. I seem to find myself somewhat dealing with that, where it's just not as easy slipping out. And then on top of it, I'll talk about my doctor's appointment that now they're suggesting that I take an iron supplement, and that tends to be constipating too. So, let's pray for the best. Another symptom that I'm still dealing with are pimples. It's not like acne breakouts, but it's just pimples everywhere and you can see them. How I've been dealing with it is I tend to pop them, so I try and flatten them out, which I know is not a great thing to do, but I'll do it after a warm shower. And then I just put my face lotion on. Again, I'll touch on this later, but we asked my doctor, I took this to her because I was concerned about everything. They said that my face lotion is okay. I use Aveeno Positively Radiant, so that's just my daily moisturizer. I know they say to watch out for moisturizers that are for wrinkles because it tends to have vitamin A, and that can not be so good for the baby. And then on top of that, I just use this Fit Me stick by Maybelline, and it's just a cover-up stick. I use 220 Natural Beige, and it's just quick, and I know that I'm gonna love this later on because it's quick and easy. Just draw some under my eyes, scribble on my head, and then wipe it all in with your fingers. It helps for me to cover up the pimples, like that slight red discoloration that comes along with pimples. Like lose my breath. They say you get short of breath sometimes. Last week, I know I talked about my stinky armpits and lack of wearing deodorant. This week, my deodorant came. So I know my husband is thankful. I have been wearing deodorant this week, and I just wanted to share with you because I think that they smell good and they're also organic and stuff. So this one is Earth Mama. It's called Bright Citrus deodorant. It's a tangy, fresh scent. It says specially formulated for pregnancy, breastfeeding, and sensitive skin. So I got a couple of those, and then while we were out at one of Trader Joe's or Whole Foods or something like that, I ended up getting another one because this one had a better scent. It's still no aluminum. It's 24-hour odor protectant, and it's that Tom's of Maine, so it seems to be more natural and not any of those harsh ingredients. This one has an awesome floral scent. I think I'm having indigestion. I think heartburn's starting. Alright, so how I've been feeling. If you asked me before Wednesday, I would say excited. If you asked me after Wednesday, I would say very annoyed. Wednesday was our first doctor's appointment. So, of course, everybody's so excited. Our families, my husband, myself, and it's just like countdown because I was sick. I was home for a sick day. And then I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting, and we get to the appointment finally. We're filling out all these papers, and then we finally get pulled back. They do vital signs. They took my blood pressure. They took my weight. And that was another thing I was kind of like bugged about because they weighed me in at like 7 pounds off from my normal weight. I did notice that I dropped a little weight this week. I have lost about 5 pounds since I found out I was pregnant. And then, talking to other people, it could be a combination of not drinking alcohol anymore, just not really grabbing for those unhealthy snacks because you're hyper aware of what you're putting in your body because everything that you're eating is going to the baby. So it's crazy because for me, I would just maintain my steady weight and it never changed. And then, of course, weighing in at the doctor at 7 pounds less, I'm like, whoa, great. So next time when I come in, I'm going to look like a fatty when I'm finally not sick and back to my normal weight. Anyway, they did some vitals. They took your weight. They had to go pee in a cup. I think that was for the glucose dipstick test. So they put that in the room, had that sitting. My husband and I are sitting in the room just anxiously waiting for the doctor to come in. She comes in. She was amazing. She went over a ton of questions with us, and I'll go over some of the questions that we asked. Maybe I'll put that in another video. So she answered a bunch of questions, and we're anxious, like, okay, well, I know I'm gonna have blood work, and then we're gonna do the transvaginal ultrasound. So we're like, we just wanted to see the point of this appointment we thought was to see a flicker or some sort of heartbeat, hear something, like make it viable to us. Like, this is actually a baby growing inside of you. We talked with the doctor, and then they said, okay, now you're done with the doctor, and the nurse is going to bring you back to go get your blood work. And then on the way to go getting the blood work, she was talking, and then we were all excited, and then she said, oh, and then after you get your blood work, they'll schedule you for your ultrasound. So our face is kind of like, what? Like, what do you mean? And I said, I think there was a misunderstanding. She said, no, they would have had you scheduled for one. And even my mom said after the appointment that, she thought it was kind of weird that I would have an ultrasound before I had my blood work. And I said, yeah, I understand that too, but I guess what I'm most upset about is that the person that scheduled me on the phone, I specifically asked a question, so I will be having an ultrasound today, and she said yes. Maybe she was new or maybe she was confused, but I personally just wanted to know. And I think all pregnant people are just anxious and they just want to know, like, a formatted plan. Like, this will happen, this will not, this will happen next time. So now I know the right questions to ask and, really make sure that I know what is going to happen at each appointment so I'm not upset. But overall, they took blood work, then they sent me out. I scheduled for my next ultrasound. I scheduled for the ultrasound, which will be on January 22nd at around 4:40. So that's our next thing to look forward to. So now we're just like, okay, another 12-day countdown. And I'm like, really, this whole thing is a countdown. So what are we rushing? There's nothing to rush. You just enjoy it, and you just think that, now that the ultrasound is later, there's more to see. There's going to hopefully be a stronger heartbeat, more of the formed baby to see. So it's not all bad in the end. I'm just being pregnant and emotional and, being a brat. Long story short, we were pretty bummed about the appointment. And, another thing, I think every pregnant woman is just looking for that confirmation, which is why I'm still peeing on sticks until something else actually confirms it 100% to me. But I didn't get any blood work results back yet. All I want to know is my HCG levels. Like, give me something. It's like, throw me a bone here. I just want to know something. So I have no results to go by. Hopefully on Monday I can call and get some sort of blood work result to confirm something to me. Things that comfort me this week: still taking warm showers, daily warm showers at the end of the day, letting the warm water run down my neck, and obviously keeping my feet warm too. That's been a big help this week. Just trying to stay warm and comfortable. Some thoughts and questions that I have personally are just, will I ever feel normal about food again? Like, I've never experienced this, so in my brain it still hasn't gone away, and it's been a week straight of not having an appetite. So my brain is wondering, is this ever gonna go away? Like, will I ever love the foods that I loved? Like, I don't even want to go to On the Border. Like, something is wrong. I don't even want tacos. What is going on? Things I'm looking forward to is definitely our next appointment. So countdown to the 22nd. I feel that I'm nervous about working out because I don't want to do anything wrong. I don't want to do anything to cause a miscarriage. Like, that's still on my mind. Like, I don't want anything negative to happen. And then from going to our first appointment, I did say that I do have scoliosis. So one of the things that the doctor said was that I have to, meet with them before if I am going to consider getting an epidural. I don't necessarily think that I want to get an epidural, but the thought of an epidural scares me because I know how big the needle is that goes into your back for an epidural. And then, of course, knowing that my scoliosis is going to affect that and they need to see me before, I don't know. There's just the whole thought of it just makes... But then, of course, part of me is like, well, I should go get checked out because, God forbid, there is a complication and they do need to give me an epidural. That should all be figured out. But that definitely makes me somewhat nervous. How has my husband been through all of this? He's such a darling sweetheart. Other than dealing with my psycho mood swings, like just turning on a dime. Tiny mood swings. He's been handling them wonderfully. And then just trying to understand that my appetite is not there I think it's kind of hard for him sometimes just to realize, because that's not my personality at all. I will house a bag of chips and salsa and not turn back and not even wanting to touch certain things like that is kind of, you know, different for him. My husband, while we were at the doctor's office also, he decided that he wanted to try one of my prenatals because he wanted a snack. The prenatals that I take are the VitaFusion prenatal, so they are gummy treats, and this is another reminder why you lock your vitamins up from your kids, because they think they're candy and they'll just pop them. So I thought that was pretty funny. He said that, I tried one of your prenatals. They were actually pretty good. He said, oh, well, don't do that again. So I find that I'm just very irritable sometimes too. Little things will annoy me big time. Like if we're sitting on the couch and I hear my husband just eating his fingers in my ear, it really pushes my buttons. So I just shoot him the look, the stop it look. And again, smells. It could be a food smell. It could be your seltzer water smells really strong right now. How much cologne did you just spray on yourself? Like, oh, that candle is too strong. Another example was like we went out to Cheesecake Factory. Love Cheesecake Factory. And Bang Bang Chicken and Shrimp is like my favorite thing there. Luckily, I was able to convince my husband, let's split a dish and then get a couple appetizers. So we got the Bang Bang Chicken and Shrimp. We had some appetizers. They weren't really floating with me well. And then Bang Bang Chicken and Shrimp came, took a couple bites out of it. I was like, wow, there's a lot of flavors in there. And I was not able to eat it. Like nothing, not one part of me wanted anything to do with it. So that was week 7 of my week-to-week pregnancy journal. And I am excited for what's to come. I'm going to throw a couple links down below for any of the items that I showed you that I personally like, if you want to, you know, check them out. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. So this is the last day of week 7 and the first day of week 8. I still don't have a belly much. Just a little bloating going on, but excited for the next weeks to come.